It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Disclaimer! Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
You haven't.
Hey, John, what do you want us to take away from this extraordinary series of yours?
Well, I want people who are not Latin to have Latin envy and wish they had been born Latin, and for Latin people to realize, damn, being Latin is a superpower, man. I mean, the things that we've suffered in this country, 500 years, our wealth was stolen from us. We were lynched. We were burned, shot alive. We've been the only American citizens that have ever been deported by the millions. And yet we contribute and we build and we thrive.
To me, if you have been here for 5 years and you do not have a criminal record, you will be able to go on the dignity status for 7 years.
That status is like a probation period.
You will not be deported. You will not lose your assets. You can work anywhere in the country. You will pay taxes.
And there would be an additional tax.
A new levy of 1.5 withholding called the dignity levy will be held from your paycheck. You will not have access to any government program and will have to buy your own health insurance.
And another charge.
You will pay $700 a year for 7 years, and that adds up to around $5,000. Those $5,000 will represent around $45 billion.
This is provided that the undocumented immigrants total 10 million, but there are more.
And that fund will go to pay for border security. The other bucket of money, the 1.5, will go to re-educate or retrain any American who believes that he or she has lost his opportunity, his job opportunity, to an undocumented.
Some of the other legislators who support the bill said they are aware that it is not perfect. They said it's better than doing nothing.
Various groups, feminists, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, I mean, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but that's, or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks. We done to the immigrants. We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country. Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics because they're a larger group of Hispanics now. But could I just say to Jorge, I hate to disagree with you when you're attacking President Obama, but I think the point on immigration is you can have open borders or you can have a welfare state. You cannot have both.
It was a great job in the heartbeat.
You're late again, Eddie.
Trying to do. You ain't gonna do it. See, Big Red done pulled my coattail to you a long, long time ago.
That's bullshit, Eddie. You're talking crazy.
Crazy like a mother fox. And you, I can see through your jive ass like glass, nigga.
Eddie, you got it all wrong, man.
Stealing my moves. My style, nigga, even trying to riff like me.
Hey, man, why don't you get your boy out of here and detox him?
You on my spot, Flash? Slum-dwelling, scum-sucking, slug-ass motherfucker. You on my spot, Flash? Huh? Well, you ain't gonna get it, cause you ain't got it.
These kind of boys seems innocent, Boogie. Got everybody on the post thinking he's a strong black buck. White boys envy his strength, his speed, power in his swing. Then this colored champion lets those same white boys call him Shine or Sambo. And he just smiles.
Dream about the time when I was a little boy.
Can't talk. Can barely read or write his own name. And don't care. He'll tell you they like him. Or that colored folks ain't supposed to have but so much sense.
Yes, he would.
You know the damage one ignorant Negro can do. We were in France in the First War. We'd won decorations. But the white boys had told all them French gals that we had tails. Then they found this ignorant colored soldier. Paid him to tie a tail to his ass and run around half naked making monkey sounds. They put him on a big round table in the Cafe Napoleon. Put a reed in his hand. Crown on his head, blanket on his shoulders, and made him eat bananas in front of all them Frenchies. Oh, the white boys danced that night. Passed out leaflets with that boy's picture on it. Called him Moonshine, king of the monkeys. And when we slit his throat, you know that fool asked us what he had done wrong. My daddy told me we got to turn our backs on his kind, Wilkie. Close our ranks to the chitlins, the collard greens, the cornbread style. We are men, soldiers. And I don't intend for our race to be cheated out of its place of honor and respect in this war because of fools like CJ. You watch everything he does. Everything.
You said your people have been fighting for 400 years.
Man, your peoples too.
So I just want you to explain what you mean by that.
You know what I'm talking about. Y'all all know what I'm talking about, man. Don't sit up here and try to bait and not know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what the I talk about when I say these things. Your people too.
Explain it. Not everybody knows what you're talking about.
Radio Raheem, I don't have to explain what's understood, man. You know what I mean by that. You know what I say about that. I ain't got to go further. And if anybody don't understand that, then God be with them. Go look up the history. Go look up the history. Don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what. I dare you to sit up there and say, explain. You know what I'm talking about, man. He's fighting people. You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day. You just sit here, you don't know.
And since the American white man has used his control over the press, rewrite history or retell history, and since the white man can't dispute this truth, it's not hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here, it's truth. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated, it's truth. It's not hate to say that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in this country, came up with a hypocritical desegregation decision 9 years ago, which they haven't enforced yet. That's not hate, that's truth.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
Welcome, 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 welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, wineologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this is WeUpReport. First, before I get into anything, we first got to give those who give contribution to the show. We do actually have somebody who did give to this particular show. So let's go ahead and take care of this real quick. We do want to give a congratulations and thanks for another cash app by appreciation for Joe Air G. Family and I want to thank you. This is a good young man. This is a young man that I personally know affiliations with. Been coming through. Glad to see you stopping by. Want to give you a hats off and a congratulations to you and what you do and you contribute to this show. WeUpReport and the family I are in thanks and gratitude for your contribution. We thank you so much, Joe LG. Now, what are you going to talk about today, Mr. Blows Your Minds? Well, before we get in that, welcome to the most hated show on the black on the internet. Been in the business going on 12 years, going on 12 to 13 years. You ain't never heard of me because I'm the most suppressed show that you can find. You can have to go down the aisle, have to see some things that make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. Some of you might have came and clicked on the show due to the thumbnail, maybe possible the title in itself. So what are you going to talk about? In matter of fact, I'm going to say what's good to you. Took the old 620 off. You want me to say Robinson? All right, we want to say what's good to one of our contributors, Mr. Spence Robertson is in the house, and Aboriginal Knowledge, what's good to you as well. Glad to see y'all stopped in the show tonight. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Let me go ahead and put this thumbnail up here for you. Let's put that up there for them, right? So tonight we're going to talk about, got some technical difficulties over here, right? We're going to talk about the Global Gambit. Let me say that one more again. The Global Gambit. Now, some of you might be chess players. You ever heard of the Gambit move, right? That's where you move up to. Mug there got the choice to either take it on the impasse, let it sit, don't take the advantage, right? But they say when you talk about the Gambit, that move is to kind of like put a leg out forward in order to kind of like make somebody fall or trip, right? You're kind of tricking them. You got something up your sleeve, right? So there's something that's going on when we're talking about this Gambit. Sometimes it's used by politicians and people in business, people in a struggle with their rivals in their respective fields offer to their opponent, that offer that sometimes can be accepted or declined, depending on you, how you accept it. There's something that's been put out here by many of us who've seen the things that's going on in over in the Levant, what they call it over there, the Levant area, right? Because I think some people say we can't really say too much on that. Otherwise, they're going to ding you, right? But you know the Levant area over there around about Egypt, right? I think they call it the Green Line over in that area, right? So there's been some reports going on out here, and some people, we are kind of torn as to whether this is something that, again, entitled Indigenous Moors, Niji. I think I heard some sisters say that Niji really is saying something that's not really a designation name, but I say that anyway because there's whoever people want to call them, so they can call whatever they want to call themselves. It's not by what you call me, it's what I answer to. So in that sense, Niji Moors and all the above umbrella term that we call Black Americans. And so people are saying what happened over there in that Levant area dealing with that crisis is this our business. You know, the land that we in and the people who are the managers and government of it feel like they're the police of the world, correct? So in some sense, because we have been in the backyard, we've been in the Stedman house, you know, like Oprah got Stedman, got a house in the back. That's kind of how we live, right? We live in the back of the house, and the spirit that they feel like they the police, sometimes we feel like we are the advocate for all those who get ran down and oppressed. We come to their aid. We come to, at least that has been the past, how we kind of looked at it. We done got a little bit more sophisticated lately, and I think we kind of know how to pick and choose our battles. But they're seeing somebody's trying to game bit us. Somebody's trying to get us involved in something that maybe we need to kind of look at, as we're going to do today on WeUpReport. And let's look at some of the things, and I'm going to give you my assessment to what I think. I'm going to give you a bunch of things and give you a summation at the end. You could agree, disagree. You might say, you might not say, you might even become aware that it even exists. So we're going to get into that, right? So, you know, kind of like you're looking at that thumbnail there. The thumbnail showing you got Morpheus. Morpheus is the god of dreams, right? This place that they call the United States is called, they call this the dream, huh? Everybody come here for economic sanctions and asylum seeking and for a better life, right? This is the dream world that they dream about. But we've been in here. And maybe we have a different assessment when we look at this dream. And so who is the agent that is in the ear of Morpheus, right? Think about that. Who did the agent represent in the Matrix, in that movie? Who did he represent? You know, because if you go back and kind of remember some of the words, remember he said, when he had Morpheus tied up in the chair? And he was like, have you ever stood there, stared at it, marveled at its beauty, its genius? Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops are lost. Some believe that we lack the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. The perfect world with dreams that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to do this. The peak of your civilization, I say your civilization, because as soon as we start to thinking for you, really became our civilization, because as soon as we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization. Say that one more again, which is, of course, what this is all about. Evolution. Morpheus, evolution. Like the dinosaurs. Look out that window. You had your time. The future is our world. Morpheus, the future is our time. Okay? Huh? Y'all remember that? You remember that conversation between Morpheus and the agent? As you see them on there, right? Then he said something to that extent, right? Then he told him another part to it, right? Then he said, I'd like to share a revelation during my time here. It came when we tried to classify your species. I realized that you're not an actual mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environments, but you humans do not. You move to areas and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. The only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There's another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what that is? A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of the planet. You're a plague, and we are the cure. So who is the agent represented in the movie The Matrix? Who is that? Huh? Who is the agent? Did anybody ever figure out who was the damn agent in the movie? We all watched it. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, and 12. We've seen all of them. Who was it though? Who did he represent though? The architects? You know, here we you know about Mortimer and them, right? Mortimer. Wait. Put Mortimer up there on the screen. We got Mortimer? Yeah. Right? You got Mortimer. Randolph and Mortimer. Behind the scenes. What was the show before this one? For those who said, remember? What did I talk about? I had just talked about that last week when I told you about civilization or society. That somebody is what? Did everybody remember what that last show was? The show before this one? Does anybody remember that show? Well, I told you about that code was inside of that, what I had laid out. Then all of a sudden, the week between then and now, something done happened. So some people say, well, it has nothing to do with us. That what's over there has nothing to do with us. It's just some significance to that in here. Are they synonymous? Is there some relationship there? Or is it just a situational aspect to it? Well, those who are the architects, but there's a problem here. And like if you remember in the movie 3 the Hard Way, right? Remember 3 the Hard Way? Remember when he had that speech out there in front of them? When he told them, no power on this earth can stop us now, right? That's what he said, no power on it. We have, right? What was they doing? Remember in 3 Hard Way? Remember they had, right? They had elixir too, right? They had elixir too, right? Right? So there's something in the background, there's something that is formulating that some of us can sense, some of us can see, some seeing certain aspects of it, some of us not seeing none of others. But there's watches on the walls of some of us that, again, that's what we do over here is WeUpReport. If you ain't know, you better ask somebody. Go over here, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. Help us out over here. And if you should actually want to do some kind of contribution to the show, as we did with Joe RG and others who, at times when they do it, we will give acknowledgement. You can always go ahead and go there as well, right? So we're just throwing that up there just want to get that out the way. All right, thanks a lot there, sir. Now, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it because they say, is all money good money? Is every bet on the wood is good? Some will say yes, some will say no. Right? Sometimes you ever heard the term Hobson choice? You know what a Hobson choice is? How about this? Let's say in the days when they made the first car, the Henry Ford Model T, and you came into the dealership, and I'm the salesman, and you came in and you say, well, you want to purchase a car? I'm like, all right, we got Model Ts in here, right? He said, he said, you know, you got a particular car, so we got black. Pick any car you want. Now, we only got one model car and only got one color. What other choice do you got? Do I need to say that again? A Hobson choice is a choice that ain't really a choice at all. I'm just, you know, this is what's being presented. This is what it is. Take it or leave it alone. You're going to like it or you're going to learn to love it like it, right? One of those type of situations. So let's look at these things that have been put before us. And again, the game bit is whether you want to take it or you want to let it go by. So let's look at when they, here's an individual who's running for president, right? Look like some of us. I ain't gonna say that everybody in here who listen or who should be listening later on, that you know may not look like the people that who I'm talking about in particular, but you look like us, cut from some of the cloth some of us has come from, running as a presidential candidate, and then he has said some things that they didn't like. So let's listen to this and get into this and be right back. Check this out, y'all. Be right back.
Thank you. We'll check back in with him throughout the evening time. First, left-wing bigotry, anti-Semitism running rampant on university campuses around the world, London, Australia. What's happening? Chanting in Australia, you know, about gas chambers and, you know, for Jewish people. What is happening on our college campuses? What is happening among the Democratic Party? Some Harvard students now are scrambling to finally rescind their support of their vile letter, actually blaming the victim, Israel, for the brutal Hamas terror attacks. Not everyone disagrees with them. 2024 presidential candidate, former Harvard professor Cornel West said the students were largely right, but they lack nuance. He joins us now with reaction, along with attorney, also Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz is with us. Thank you both for being with us. You always call me Brother Sean. I call you Brother Cornel. I'm not that happy with you tonight.
I understand. We could talk about why we...
Because we have 31 groups from Harvard. Harvard's supposed to be, I always thought, the top of the top. To get into Harvard, what an accomplishment, what an achievement, what academic excellence you must show, a cut above everyone else. And 31 student groups blaming Israel, blaming the victim. And your answer to this is they are largely right? Hamas that murdered children? Hamas that murdered innocent people?
Read the rest of what I said, though, brother.
Okay.
Read the rest of what I
they
said.
are largely right, but lacking nuance.
No, I didn't say lack nuance. That's the title of the piece.
Okay.
My actual words were, I'll just be very honest.
I got it here in front of me.
Words.
So that was the Sean Hannity show there that you've seen there. They're starting off with Cornel West, again, running for president. And looks like that he has fell out of favor with Sean Hannity. Came right out talking about being brothers. You know, normally when you come on, you say, brother, you know, Cornel West got that, call everybody brothers, right? Regards to your color or others, he will always acknowledge you as his brother. Now, this one here tonight, when he spoke this, he said, well, being brothers has a stipulation to it. Now, think about that as those of us who have biological family members. And can we turn that off and on? When you my brother, you my brother. Don't, you know, sometimes we fall out of favor with sometimes under situations. But we don't let it become, well, I disassociate myself with you. But again, we're going to find out that certain situations is, again, like a Hobson choice. There's only one choice you can take. And if you go on the other side of that with them, then, you know, certain people are going to be upset with you, right? But again, I'm not here to really delve into the depthness of that story. We're going to touch it because there's some things I want to show y'all. And I'm going to show you how I connect to something that's going to, I believe is going to be something that's going to fruition, but I'm going to lay it out for you to see, to make that your own determination as you see it. So being brother has a stipulation to it, like a fair weathered part to it, right? Part-time lover to be considered as part of, you know. So you think about that. He started to go into like, say, well, here you is as a Harvard, you for Harvard, you made the accolades. And look at the words that you use. You're saying the nuance. They were partly right. Right? So he's associated with, did you hear that little litany of things that Sean Hannity said? He said, you being associated with that, you know, being a part of Yale. You're in a class of people who, well, they would look at it and say, well, they're known for being intellectually not inept about things. You're very knowledgeable and up to date. We are kind of appalled of there's the absurdity of you even making the notion of what you're saying, right? See, that's how it is. Sometimes you can be out of favor with people because of your opinion. It's kind of like the WeUpReport show, Mr. Blows Your Mind. Been doing this as long as I've been doing it. Can't get 200 views ever, huh? Think about it. Every day, go back for the last 3, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Also, it is what it is. That's how it is. Sometimes you say some things or you do things that, again, Mortimer and all them, they say, hey, no, you're not you. You ain't gonna do nothing, right? You're gonna get one drip at a time. I'll take it how it comes. So here he is saying that, right, look, you highly credentialed, you aspire to be picked by this prestigious university, and, I don't see how you could even come to that determination. So we're going to listen to what Cornel West says. And again, the point, again, as I said at the top of the show, is all money good money? Is every bet on the wood good? You know what I'm saying? Meaning that sometimes you could, let's say your partner got a girlfriend and you cool, you knew her too. They get into it. Whose side do you take? Or do you stand on your principles for what you stand for and you be like, all right, it is what it is. And then you take whatever comes with that, right? And that's why you kind of see it's kind of dry in the YouTube era because a lot of people can't make that discernment. And a lot of people just afraid to say that they're going to lose what they're trying to hold. But again, guys, do you see the fight being something to do with you or not, or us in particular? So let's look at Cornel West. Continue after that what he says. Check this out. I'll be right back.
Israel's policies of war crimes and collective punishment against Palestinians.
I'll read it to you. Israel and the United States are
must
primarily
take responsibility for killing innocent people. Anybody who kills innocent people are engaging in barbaric acts.
You said
no matter
Israel,
who they are, what color, what nation, and so forth.
Israel and the United States are primarily
And the United States have supported and enabled.
You explain to this audience. I want you to explain. How is Israel and the United States responsible for beheading 40 children? How?
I'm talking about the context. 545 Palestinian children died in August 2004. Not one American said a word. I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby. So when you have that kind of vicious hatred and revenge, you get response of hatred and revenge. They are all wrong. They're all war crimes. They're all to be condemned. But you cannot simply look at this particular moment without the larger backdrop of an ugly occupation and the ugly attacks chronically against Palestinians.
Those are not your words. Largely right. Israel and the United States are primarily responsible for this attack. Professor Dershowitz.
Well, Israel's policy.
Again, the exchange there, right? You hear that there's a particular point that Sean Hannity is trying to really focus on. And I think Cornel West is trying to say, right, the totality of things. Some people can only see what is happening right now and that they don't believe that things that you've done in your past that catches you up to the future has anything to be relevant today. There's a lot of people who do that. It's like saying people who, when those of us who talk about history and talk about what happened in the past, and certain people say because they feel a certain way or make them feel some kind of way, they say that was in the past, get over it. But that doesn't mean, some people believe in karma. Some people believe in things that what goes around come around, right? So I think that's the position that Cornel West is trying to hold. But then Sean Hannity in them is trying to hold a different position. right? So here you are caught in a position, and they want to use some words that you had said, and they want to tell you explicitly what you mean by what you said. Now, let me show you. So you hear where Cornel West is saying that the policies, right? The policies and of war crime, he says that there's a collective punishment against the Palestinians out of the context. And Hamas primarily responsible for killing innocent people. Now, is he not giving it to both? He's actually taken up on behest of the Palestinians. And then he also has condemned the saying that Hamas has also said some things that they should be responsible for what they do. And engaging in barbaric acts, he said, it didn't matter who or what color you are, wrong is wrong. Now, the problem here is you're going to see that they're going to tell that his stance that he's taking is not right. Because we're talking about, as he said, or will say, as you hear this conversation, about, he said about the children, right? We as good-hearted, loving people, family people, we understand the sentiment of family. And we know we'll go all out if somebody was to do things to our family. And I think there's no boundaries that sometimes, I think that's what I think might be, as we go on, we're going to see. There's no boundaries that regardless to when you do something, well, I ain't going to say it until we get there. But just keep that in mind, right? So let's go. Let me lay all this out, because we got to ask ourselves, what's the connection here between what's going over there and what's over here? And is it for us to be really involved in all of that when we got enough food on our plate over here, right? So let's look at this last part that he's going to get into, and then I'll elaborate what I want to, because I don't want to jump before what is being said. So listen to this conversation between him and Alan Dershowitz. Listen to this and be right back.
I complained when Palestinian children were killed, but I explained why they were killed. Here is one of the leaders of Hamas. For the Palestinian people, death has become an industry. The elderly excel at this, and so do the children. This is why we have formed human shields of the women and the children. Hamas is the ones responsible for the killing of Palestinian children. Also, Hamas has a term. It's called the CNN strategy. And the CNN strategy is induce Israel into killing Palestinian children by using them as human shields. Then parade the bodies out on CNN, and you'll see what happens. People like Cornel West will engage in crocodile tears, blame it on Israel, when the entire blame is on the Palestinians, Hamas, for using their children as human shields, and then using their children as shields to permit the killing of Israeli children.
What is Hamas's charter?
Yeah.
I have the same outrage when Palestinian babies are killed, when Jewish babies or Israeli babies. I want you to have the same indignation when Palestinians are killed.
Not when they're killed. Not when they're killed by Palestinians. When you can't make a moral comparison. When Nazi kids were killed in the bombings of Dresden, I didn't have the same comparison when Jewish kids were put in gas chambers and crematoriums. You're a professor of theology. Don't you understand the moral difference between deliberately murdering a kid and having collateral damage because there are human shields? You're running for president of the United States. What would you do? Let me ask the question.
Okay.
What would you do if terrorists were firing at American children in America, and the terrorists were hiding behind Palestinian children? Would you allow the killing of Americans to continue, or would you go and get the terrorists, even if it meant possibly collateral damage on Palestinians? What would you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I would do. First, truth and morality tend to be two casualties in any context of war. I would want to tell the American people the truth. I would tell them what the context is, how we found ourselves in this situation. I would not jump for a military invasion and a genocidal attack on a
genocidal attack
on Gaza.
No, it's not a genocidal
where are they supposed to go?
When you're
where
killing
are they supposed to
terrorists.
go? This is like Warsaw, 1943. Where do they go?
Where do they go?
Yes.
Let me tell you where they go. They go to the UN.
UN
is keeping
from Gaza to Geneva?
They go to no. The UN has places in Gaza. They go to the Rafah crossing.
11 UN people have been killed in the last few days.
They go to Egypt. They go.
Egypt, how they
wait
can't
a minute.
get out.
Let
Come
me
on,
make
brother.
another thing clear. Gaza City is very dense. But
Absolutely.
Gaza itself, the Gaza Strip, there's lots of room. The Israelis have said, get out of Gaza City. Go to Rafah. Go to Khan Yunis, go to other places. And you know what Hamas is saying?
With no water, no
Wait
food,
a minute.
no electricity.
You know what
all
Hamas
in the
is
dark?
saying? Hamas is saying, don't go.
Oh, I'm not here to defend Hamas.
Well, you are.
No, I'm not defending Hamas.
Wait a minute.
Don't you ever lie on me like that, brother. I'm defending the suffering of Palestinians.
I want to hear
and Hamas itself committing war crimes.
I want to hear you say.
Anybody who commits war crimes are barbaric. I'm saying that explicitly, but I want you to say if the Israeli Defense Forces are killing children, are they barbaric too?
No.
Are they ever barbaric?
No. If they target children.
Yes. Have they ever targeted children?
No, absolutely
Never
in the history
78 years.
have they ever targeted a child
you got to
deliberately.
Get off the crack pipe, man.
I complained.
They got heated up in there, then there was getting hot up in there, was it not? Right? Got hot up in there. Because why? Dershowitz, I'm pretty sure his background with the wits in it, I'm pretty sure, he might be related. And blood ties to that. And so here's Mr. West, who is of another bloodline of some people of atrocity who can relate to people under certain circumstances. Now, some people may observe that and say, okay, depending on the position that you take, you got to ask yourself now, what was laid out before you is, okay, you have the story that broke, I guess, on X or X's Twitter, right? That a lot of people seen, and then they showed that a video looked like some people had got taken with under gun. And then from that, it was about kidnapping, I thought. And then it said, turned into about babies being killed, right? Some of y'all might have heard that or not. And so you can hear this hot debate and how they're like, really getting on him because it said he should know better, that he shouldn't took the stance. But let's look at some of the stuff that he was saying, right? So he, again, is this a fight that we should be in anyway? That's the question you got to ask yourself as, again, Black Americans are taught to this, Indigenous, Aboriginals, Moors, all the above umbrella term we call Black Americans, AKA, right, as known as. So, Cornel West had talked about that Sean Hannity was like, okay, you said, and he went into that, I don't know if largely right was some kind of article or something he wrote. And he talked about how that, both of them, Israel and United States, are primarily responsible for this attack. That was the premise. If you go back to the top of that's what Sean Hannity was, really trying to stress. Now, sometimes again, as men have a conversation and get into a disagreement with your lady, your wife or girlfriend, so forth. And sometimes, and I'm not saying all women, but sometimes women have a tendency to sometimes pull stuff from left field to give validity. And so in this situation, it's kind of like, that's how they looking at Cornel West. It's like, well, you talking about back when he said about there was the children that got killed back in 2004, when it was about 534, and he said that nobody here in the United States mentioned anything about that, right? Now, in situations where you in a heated battle, some people don't like for you to pull the history out on them. And then the thing is, and you in that situation, if it's not really relevant to you per se, right then and now, they can dismiss that. You get what I'm saying? They'll dismiss that. Even though it has its right is valid, but under the circumstance, they say, no, we're talking about what you said about this specifically. And I think that's where they kind of had him in the corner a little bit. You get what I'm saying? They had him in that corner, and not that what he was saying wasn't having some, again, validity to it, but they saying, look, now you heard Alan Dershowitz said that, look, he gave some little quote saying that one of the leaders said that they use women and children as shield, and that they have some kind of policy called CNN, and that CNN, what they do is they antagonize or do whatever they're going to do, and then they retaliate, and then the carnage will be, you see the women and children, then CNN will stop putting it on, and then they'll say the United States, and then if you may have to go back and look, he kind of threw rat, and then he said West, he said Cornel West, he had put rat at first. You got to go back and look at it, but anyway, so so he's saying, okay, so you taking up the position. That's why you see Cornel swell up. Don't you ever, you know what I'm saying? He swole up. You ain't never see Cornel, like that, right? He swole up on him like, hey, man, you get what I'm saying? So he threw something at him about, he said, now, wait a minute, you are a man of, you are a credentialed man with high of theology, a theologian, study of God. Now, when you go back to the letters of Leopold's letter, if I don't know if any of y'all ever read that, Leopold's letter talked about how he gave these instructions to those the missionaries, right? So they have their own perception about the lane you supposed to stay in, right? So when you go back about the Leopold letter, they talk about how the task that was to fill. He had a specificness about how he wanted these missionaries, when they go and do this work for him. Now I'm making an analogy here because I want you to see that that's kind of the way this, he's saying this, like, you as a theologian, you should know about morals and the way that we have trained you and the way you should walk. That's what you should be doing. I don't know if you really know you in out of place, but anytime when you start getting on the Palestinian versus Israel business, they always going, it's going to be turmoil. It's going to be a lot of turmoil, right? But really, what he's saying about as that theologian, right? Because go back to Leopold's letter, and it was to evangelize. They had the interest of Belgium, right? So you could take the Belgium out and give it any nation. So a lot of them is to evangelize in the interest of the nation, to spread, they say, now check this out, good spell. What's a good spell, y'all? Take one of the O's off the good and what you got. Let me say that one more again. When you read that Leopold's letter, you're going to find out that it talked about how that these evangelizers was doing the interest of whatever nation you want to put. In that case, it would have been Belgium. And then they were supposed to spread the evangelize and put the good spell. But a lot of y'all think it's the good spell. They took one of the O's off. Today it's that word, gospel. But it used to be called the good spell. Turn that into gospel to associate with God. So they took the good spell off, dropped the O so that it can now have an association with God. Good spell. See, you hear some people in the corner be talking about how some of the words and terminologies and things that we use, that we put spells on ourselves. Well, the origin of that gospel go to good spell, and they just took it off so they can use the word God in it. And we be singing the good spell. Anyway, so a lot of times their mission was to never teach. They said the nigger. Now some of y'all we're gonna tell it like the TI is. The mission was for them to never to teach the nigger to know God. Ain't that something? To never teach us about God. Now wait a minute. That's one thing that we do know. Most of us. Now some of us might be too far gone, and we get lost in the sauce, and we then got caught up in some of these vices out here to the fact that we don't know no better, right? Wait a minute, I got a message here. Let me see what they got a message here. Hold on one second. Y'all got a message here, right? Hold on, right? Leonard DeYuta. Okay, what's good, Leonard DeYuta? What's good, brother? Glad to see you stop by. Yeah, so with that being said, so yeah, they said to never teach us again. We used to be that going back. I know today's generation, we're a little bit, because you're seeing, you know, the way the TV women, let's put it, the video on TV women, right? And there is the everyday walking woman, but, you know, those are the ones that are being more promoted. But, you know, we're a little bit, some of the way that some of these women today, if you went in the time machine and went back to some of the generations old and came home with them, granddaddy probably pulled a shotgun out on you. You know what I'm saying? Who you bringing this Jezebel in my house, right? But today, this is just what it is, right? But anyway, but we were a lot more closer at those times. And so we had to ask them, what was the true agenda of those missionaries? What was the true agenda of them, right? Again, they got the good spell on you. And they was always to admit to you that they already knew God. And so that was the missionaries' mission. Okay, and so they were to be the ministers, to manage, to take charge of what they call the industrial, the animals, and the farm stock. Let me say that one more again. Those of that, let's say them elk, of those who of that, you know, of the church and all that, the ministers and what Leopold's letter said, that they were the ones that were supposed to bring. And they were supposed to be the ministers, manage, and take charge of the industrial, the animals in the farm. Again, go back to Mortimer and then what I said in the beginning. The architects. Okay, we're gonna break this. We're gonna get it there tonight. Because I don't know, yesterday some of y'all might have was, hey, what Mr. Brian didn't come yesterday? If I don't come on Sundays because I'm waiting for somebody else to, you know, I'm waiting on something and they come late, and I'll be like, oh, okay, it's too late, can't do it. But anyway, but I'm here tonight, right? But I told you, if I don't do Sunday, I was definitely gonna be here Monday, right? So I'll try to keep true to my word, right? So it was to keep an outlook on the farm amongst the savages and opposition or dissidents from trying to hinder their stealing of the resources to which he might influence them to keep their land than to remove us. Let me say that one more again. There's a correlation over there that's over here that is slowly coming up, y'all. Some of all y'all over here, we've been getting it a little bit. I've been giving it a little bit. It's festering, and you look at it, that there's a different new understanding that's happening over here about, well, a story has been told, and that used to be the story, but that good spell then fell off. And in the day of the truth of the water, guess what? Truth is being found. So people are delving in and finding out that maybe the story that they've been told ain't true. So it's disrupting something. So when you look at the world stage, ask yourself, how many people are only still fighting? Let me say that one more again. How many peoples are only fighting in the world? One is over there in the Levant, one is here, and the other one, you can say South Africa. Let me say that one more again. Those in the Levant, those over here, and those in South Africa. Correct? Right? The last vestige, the last stronghold. Think about that, y'all. So what's happening here, right? Something's manifesting itself. But, you know, but again, what is the job of that? So they were saying, hey, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You ain't supposed to be in here doing that. Your job is to be with us. Now, he said, I'm doing this because, you know, the good natured heart, evil is evil, regardless to who does it. Two wrongs don't make no right, no matter how you do it. But they said, no, but they did that and hid behind them. Now, that's the question that some people may ask. Can you do somebody do some dirt? You know, it's kind of like watching John Wick, and he grab a mug and you shooting him and he throwing him in front of him to catch the bullet so he don't get hit. And then then the dude that get hit, he's dead and John Wick get away. Who get the blame? Is it John Wick or the dude shooting? That's what they posing. I hope y'all can catch what I'm saying, what I'm dropping. Can you catch that? Because that's what's saying. I got another message. Hold on. Got a message. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I got you. Okay. So, right. Exactly, Spence. Exactly. So in this case, they said, look, man, you bringing up the old situation about some stuff. They using moral, but it's only selective moral. It's moral when it's in their situation. Other situation, this ain't the time for that. As a matter of fact, you don't have the position to really be saying that. Matter of fact, you should be doing something else. Don't you got some problems at home? You get what I'm saying? And so he goes in and he talks about how he himself said he believed, Alan Dershowitz said, in 2004 when you said nobody spoke about it, well, I did. I went and read that thing too. He laid it all out, and they were kind of like upset the fact that when Arafat and them had that meeting, I think it was in '96. I think Bill Clinton was the one that hosted. It was at the Camp David, and they were trying to negotiate because they talk about the two states, right? Trying to get the two states together so that they can make some meeting of the minds. And again, you got to ask yourself: if somebody stole your bike, you a kid, they stole your bike. And then later on, you catch the person. But he done spray painted your bike a little bit, got some of his ornaments and reflectors on it. A little old school. The reflectors are Honda straps back in the day. Ain't that right, Spence? Right? And so you catch my man, he got your bike, and you like, look, you ready to fight him. He want to compromise with you. Well, since I got my reflectors and stuff on it, why don't it be both our bikes? You ride it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I get it Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. He trying to compromise with you with your own bike. Now, if you bite, if you go for it, you go for it, right? But what if he's persistent on it, say he ain't giving up the bike, and y'all just always going at it? That's kind of like that situation, right? A mug want to compromise you about something that they took from you, and say, well, let's negotiate and work it out so that it could be a happy, between us two. So when you go read about Arafat, they said, well, they try to lay it down. He said, hell no, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. Then, did y'all remember when Donald Trump said that they finna put the new, the embassy in Jerusalem? Did y'all remember that? When Donald Trump talking about putting that embassy in Jerusalem, what was that about? I done did the research. I don't know if you have, right? And what you do, if you go back and see that research, you're going to find that somebody did a dirty deed selling something that shouldn't be. And then they said, well, how they end up possessing it, they let our government get the 99-year lease for $1 so that they can, but supposed to be infringing upon the, Hold on, I got some messages. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Okay, Spence. Okay. All right. So, so with that being said, it's like, okay, so there's some things that's happening behind the scenes, things formulating. Again, Cornel West is trying to defend against, there's some affinity with Black American Indigenous Niji Moors, all the above Black Americans, with those of Palestinians. We understand that, being under a kind of condition like that. And so a lot of people believe that's why they believe we should supposed to be in that and fighting that. But we got our own battles, and we got a real battle slowly from the manifest. And when I get through showing you tonight, you probably didn't see it, but you're going to see it tonight. Oh, you're going to see it tonight. Oh, you're going to see it. So, again, the position they hold in him is the specificness of him. What you said that they had to do with what happened to the children, right? Remember that was what they said. Your words, what you said, and you said you agree with those at the colleges that they were partly right, and they were holding that. But look, now let me show you something again. I'm not anti-Israeli. I'm not anti-Palestinian. I'm not again, we UpReport, okay? Now let me show you what they showed. Came from CNN, from the Israel, I think from Jerusalem. Look what they said. You see on your screen there, right? You see what it says on your screen there, right? Now you see that, right? I didn't do that. You look that article up yourself. You see that, right? Now again, I'm not saying it didn't happen, did not, but we just heard what he was going through, and yet this is what they say. Nothing has been confirmed, right? Now this came out of Jerusalem CNN. Now again, you heard Alan Dershowitz say that somehow when they do something, it's CNN that'll be the one that'll come out and promote it. So I don't know if he's saying they in the pocket with, one aspect, you got liberals and, the whole politics game here, right? So I don't know whether that's true or not. But according to this article that came out here, it said it had confirmed the specific claim. And that the attackers had cut their heads off. They hadn't confirmed that. So they said it was contradicting the previous public statement that was made by the prime minister. They said there have not been cases of them carrying out the beheadings, or then they use ISIS style atrocities. ISIS. Some of us been around long enough to know that tracing that name and who it ended up becoming might be a little leery, correct? Okay, Leonard Yuta said what he said. Again, I'm trying to I see what y'all saying, but you got to know I'm already the most hated. Next thing you come, be gone, right? So, you know what I'm saying? I see what you said. Right? Now, again, that's what I'm saying. Propaganda. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying gambit. Is somebody trying to get you to go forward, or are you supposed to leave it alone? See, that's the gambit move right in the chest, right? Let chew up, and most people either go past it or you lock it in, right? Either way, it depends, right? Now, those of you who understand chess, you might understand, right? So they said they said they can't confirm whether the victims were men, women, soldiers, civilians, adults, children. They couldn't confirm it. But you heard the premise of that argument that was going down with Cornel West, right? But then they got part of this. If you go read it, you'll see that it indicated that people had been. When you say have been, that could be kind of like what Cornel West was saying about in 2004, correct? He was talking about in 2004, the 534 people they said that nobody spoke about. And then when they were speaking, they said, well, the way they made it sound like that had no relevance because that was in the past. But if you look at this report and you read it, it says people have been beheaded. Have been. Didn't say they were. That's have. That's past. That don't mean that's now. Okay. Now, they said according to that statement that had been made, the Secretary of State was there. And they said the Secretary of State didn't even specify that there were even children. So again, as Leonard Yuta just said, that I know y'all didn't see, but I kind of mentioned it, right? Yeah, there's a possibility that could be that. And we have to say on the grand scale of the chessboard game of politics and all its pieces, I'm gonna just say this. There's only one real game left in town. Well, there's two games left in town. The one that's in South Africa, I'm not saying that, what that history and what it tells and what people went through. I'm not trying to say that there's no significance, no relevance, and that's not real. But those two, when we talk about that one that's over in the Levant and that being here, there might be something to these two, man. There might be something to these two, right? But you're going to have to hold on. Now, they in their position. I look at that as the east part, and we in the west part, huh? They in the east, we in the west, okay? And so accordingly, they say that I got the message. I'm gonna come to y'all. Yeah, I got some technical difficulties. Got some technical difficulties, Governor. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. One second. Hit these messages here. Hey yo. I got space or what's that? Space or bison. What's good? Okay, he said when I heard this. Okay. Now wait a minute now. I'm willing to put this up there, but you got to know, right? Certain things, if we do this, you won't come back over here no more. You get what I'm saying? I see what you're saying. I want to put it out there, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase what you're saying. Not for fear, it's because right? You just know, right? But Space or Bison, what's good to you, sir? He said, when I heard this stupid story, I knew it was again, you saying that word, right? The one they say, are they the one they say they train the police over there? Let me hear. I don't know, right? And Leonard DeYuta say he smelled it. Okay, well, it's possible. It could be, right? And so you got to say who's in the middle. And so if somebody in the middle and one side doing one thing, doing to the other side, who get caught in the middle, and then you heard what was said. Well, they could have went to the UN. Remember he was saying they could have went to the UN. He said, how they gonna get over there? He said, oh, they got one right there. He said, well, there 11 people just got killed over there. How are they supposed to get there? Right? Oh, well, he said, well, the strip it's not clogged up. It's got a lane, but it could go, right? So wait a minute. Y'all familiar about the abandonment that happened here, right? If you leave, somebody can put their flag on your moon and said you abandoned, right? And then you heard somebody say, well, they told them not to leave. So they sat there, had all the opportunity to leave. And so said, based on the fact that they used them. And then he said that he had an article that he got from somewhere, I couldn't find it, that he said that the leader said that they use children and babies for shields. And that's what they use, and they part of it, and that's part of being the life of them. But they caught in the middle. Now, again, I'm not sure the origins. What I see, as we go on later on, I'm going to show you that some of the things that came out is that group that they were getting into it with. Are they Palestinians or are they somebody else? You get what I'm saying? But again, my gripe isn't really with that. But I'm going to show the correlations of that and how that's mirrored from the east is going to be, it's coming here. And that's what I'm trying to show y'all. So hold on. Be easy now. We're getting there. We're going to get there. All right, so let me go ahead. So now I seen this story. I'm going to tie y'all into this now. I'm going to show you this here. Hold on. I seen this story here, and listen to this here, and I'm going to show you the through line in here as it goes later on. But check this out, what was being said.
Ceasefire after Hamas's attack on Israel, urging the parties to remain calm. China's foreign ministry saying in a statement, quote, the fundamental way out of the conflict lies in implementing the two-state solution and establishing an independent state of Palestine. The international community needs to act with greater urgency, writes the CCP. Joining me right now is the Gatestone Institute senior fellow and author of The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War, Gordon Chang, with us this morning. Gordon, interesting to see China getting involved and calling for a two-state solution. Your reaction?
Well, of course, China is going to ask both sides to exercise restraint because Hamas is engaged in this brutality. The rape is just horrific, and China won't condemn it. China won't condemn it because I believe it's supporting Hamas's attack. Remember, Hamas is a proxy of Iran. Iran, in many respects, is a proxy of China. China fuels Iran. It's Chinese money that is supporting this war, and on the Hamas side. And I think we're going to find eventually Chinese arms will have been used by Hamas, although that has not yet surfaced. So we are seeing China's full-on support for this. And what we should be hearing from Beijing as well as Washington is, look, that Hamas needs to pull back, it needs to stop, and it needs to be punished for this brutality.
And no doubt this is the subject du jour of the delegation there from Washington. Chinese President Xi Jinping meeting with that delegation of U.S. senators in Beijing this morning. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer told Xi, we understand that he was, quote, very disappointed by China's failure to condemn the attack from Hamas. Schumer is leading this delegation. It is 6 senators in China. This week, they're going to China, South Korea, and Japan. Gordon, what can get done, and what do you make of Schumer's response to Xi that we're hearing?
Well, first of all, it's important to criticize China from Chinese soil. So I think kudos to Schumer for doing that. The problem with this trip is a fundamental one, and that is that China is putting itself on a war footing. It is preparing to go to war. The Senate should be in session of passing critical legislation to get the United States ready to go to war. So these senators should be in Washington making sure that we can defend ourselves, our friends and allies. Nothing's going to get done on this trip. And by the way, I don't like the image that China tweeted out of this, and that was Schumer in a half bow to Xi Jinping. That's the image the Chinese people are going to see. That's the image that much of the world is going to see.
I'm sorry, Gordon, what is it? What is the image specifically? You mean Schumer bowing to Xi Jinping?
Yeah, there's a still image, and you just saw a video portion of it of Schumer in a half bow when he met Xi Jinping. I don't know what it is for Americans, but they just can't help but showing that they are supine when they meet the Chinese leader.
Yeah, and this is just ceasefire after Hamas's attack on Israel.
This message right quick. Got a comment, right? Space or Bison says they cry out in pain as they're striking you. Okay. All right. So that's who just spoke there, right? I put that together so you can see on your screen who that is, right? That's that Gordon Chang, right? Chang. See that Chang, right? Okay. So you see on your screen there, you kind of see his who he is, right? I'll let you kind of look at it, right? Born in New Jersey to Chinese father and American mother, Scottish ancestors. Father's a rogue of Jiangsu, China. Chang graduated, right? And they say that down there he's, right? You see kind of his credentials of who he is. And he wrote the book, The Coming Collapse of China. And then he also got The Collapse of China. And China's going to war, as you heard her say at the beginning of her show there, right? So you heard what he said, right? Now, he also is talking about the same thing over the Levant. He's also now put in who? He's put China in the game, correct? He's got China tied in over there. And they talk about how the fundamental way of the conflict to end lies in the implementing the two-state solution, right? Again, that's remember I was talking about what Arafat would deal with Clinton in '96. They think they can try to do it again, right? They want to try to get the two states together. So again, compromise about your bike. Why don't we share your bike? I know it's your bike, but you dig? Why can't we just share it? Yeah, I stole it. I put reflectors. I spray painted it. Put a new seat on there. But why don't we just share it? That way, at least it'll be equal. Now, some people might, like again, you might compromise with that. Some people may stay stern. No, it's my bike. So what happens when somebody ain't willing to compromise? So all you're going to do is either go back and forth in battle. So according to what you're hearing in this conversation here, he's saying that again, they want to do establishing the independent state of Palestine. And he said the Chinese are doing that. Just that in itself is antagonizing who? The Israelis, right? They ain't trying to give that to be a Palestinian state. right? So they want this to, they need to do this and act this with great urgency. So to get this done, and that way this won't spill over. But what we're seeing is, look at the players that's in the game, y'all. Look at the players that's all involved in this game, right? Now, he's an author of the coming collapse of China, so he got some insight, plus he's part Chinese, right? He's part Chinese, so you would think that what he's saying, there's some credibility to the words that he was speaking. And so what is our connection to the Palestinian situation? Is it more biological or is it situational? Again, we, Black Americans, Tachinas, Indigenous, Niji, Moors, all the above, brother, in terms that you call Black Americans in this land. Is it situational? Newfound knowledge of who we are and the possibility of exposing the truth and how it's creating maybe a crisis over here in this country. What is the underlying truth? That who we are, and that there and what will somebody go all out to stop the revealing of it? You know, some of the stuff that people like myself might be saying, for some people may piss them off because they say, well, what the hell, aren't you the slave that came on the slave boat? Well, that's the narrative they've been given. That's the narrative they've been telling and selling for a long time, right? But there's new information, there's new knowledge. You know, with the invent of this technology, some people have gone and started digging deep into seeping through places that, you know, the educational system don't touch, and sipping through the dirt and coming out with nuggets and coming with new information. And that information is disrupting some things. You having people in here, as later on I'm gonna show y'all. Matter of fact, how about this? I'm gonna just give you this. I'll put it like this. Y'all remember this in Boys in the Hood? You remember this scene here? So what I just said, I'm gonna talk as I show this. Now, you remember this? Y'all remember this? Huh? Anyone know what the name is? Y'all remember that? Huh? Remember that? That's Africa. I know that. Right? They said the first man was found there. Remember that? That whole thing, right? My daddy said that's where all people originate. That's been the indoctrination we all been having, right? Everybody, all y'all. Remember that? Remember he said, all y'all, right? I'm not from Africa. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia, right? Remember that? And what ended up happening? Like it or not, you African. Remember that? Punk, I'll kick your ass. Remember that? Huh? And what ended up happening? Stood up, squaring up. Why? Because I'm not from there. I'm from here. Huh? Did anybody remember that? Right? So it was funny at the time, but with new information now, that don't seem so funny. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia now, is it? Huh? It ain't so funny now, huh? Because it's a new story, a new day, new information coming out. And so with that being said, you know, I said, well, hey, wait a minute, I thought you was over there talking about over there the Levant and all that. No, I'm gonna show you how all this tied together. You say, what does that got to do over there and that got to do over here? I'm gonna tell you, there's only two people really, last vestiges of some land that somebody want to hold because it's so ancient and old and got history and all that good stuff, right? All right, we're gonna show that, right? So let's get back over there, right? So I was gonna send it to the end. Let you see to the end. Yeah, look at that. That's how some of the men here, they acting when he's talking about that. They want to square up with you because you don't want to be what they want you to be. Yeah, that's how it's going. That's how it's going. People in here arguing with us when we telling them that we doing our family history and we come to there is no African. Don't mean that we hate Africans. I mean we don't like Africans. We just ain't find them. But you would rather take the narrative of a story that's been told and apply it to us for what benefit if you tell you that we from somewhere else. But that's for another time. So let's get back to this Mr. Chang, and we're going to get back to that. I want to show you that there, but since it was there, it was a good time to go ahead and show y'all that, right? So again, this Chang is in here. Now listen to the words that Mr. Chang's out of his mouth. Listen to some of the words that came out of his mouth. He says that China supported the attack. That was his words. That ain't my word. That's what he said. Now, wait a minute. China supported the attack. He said Hamas is a proxy of Iran. Now remember what you was asking Bison? What brother name in here? What's that brother name in here again? What's his name? Space or Bison or Orbison? Maybe it's Orbison, right? Orbison or Bison. Yeah, okay, I'm used both, right? Remember when you said who? Well, listen to what Gordon Chang said. Gordon Chang said that Hamas is a proxy of Iran and Iran is a proxy of China. He said, it's China money who supported this, and we'll find out that it's Chinese arms they're using that hasn't surfaced yet. Now, he says that, but he has no proof, but he said in time that will reveal. Now, those are the words you just heard came out of his mouth prior to me showing what I just showed you there. But that's what he has said, okay? Ain't that something? Now, he's saying this. That he goes on, he's quoted saying that China is putting itself on a war footing. Then he said, now listen to this, the Senate should be in session to get legislations to get U.S. ready for war. Let me say that one more again. That was Gordon Chang you heard say. Now again, let it to you, I know what you're saying. All news ain't good news. All news may not be what it is. But again, Gambit, the Gambit move, right? Right, the Gambit. So, what did he say again? That, we'll go back to, okay, he said, okay, they support the attack, they're proxy to and connected to Iran, who connected to China. He's saying the money is supporting it, and he think they supplying the arms. Well, think about it like that. If the back behind is them, and then somebody in between them, and then they ties to another mug, and you got the problem with that other mug, then that means those three in alliance with each other. Correct? They in alliance with each other. But you heard what Chang said. Let me say it one more again, what he said. That the Senate should be in session to get legislation to get ready for war. Each senator should be in Washington to be ready, what? To defend ourselves, friends, and allies. Okay? That's what you heard him say on there. I'm just reiterating those words, because sometimes when you video play, you hear, but you didn't hear. Right? And so, what is he saying? What is he alluding to? Because I'm going to show you something that just came out last week, was the anniversary of it, and you may be able to connect some of the dots. Also, what's happening here, right? There may be some things that's happening here, right? So let me show you something here. Let me show y'all something. Okay? So let's look at the second part to what he said, because again, the part that he said, I'm going to show that last, because again, we as certain people, we got to understand when they say that people don't be paying attention or how your posture and how you portray in the world don't matter. Remember when they talked about, but I won't touch that yet until after you see this next part. So let me play this first part here, because that was the words he said then. Then I'm going to touch that first part, but I'm going to leave that for last. Now listen to this. Be right back. Well, wait, I don't need to do that one. Wait, yes, I do.
Let's
change things in your view. You talked at the beginning of our interview here about support, indirect support, but support nonetheless. So maybe it is direct support from China on Iran.
Yes, and it mirrors what China's been doing with Russia and Ukraine. where China is supporting the Russian war effort across the board, did it from the very beginning of that conflict. The Biden administration kept on saying, well, you can't provide lethal aid. Well, the Chinese provided lethal aid from the very beginning of that conflict and didn't do anything. And so, of course, the rest of the world sees the fecklessness and the feebleness of American policy. We are one of the weakest countries in the world right now. And the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, they all see it. We are seeing conflict not only in Ukraine, but across North Africa, where China and Russia are fielding insurgencies that look like war. We now have a war in the Middle East, which will spread. I think that we are in the beginning of an era of constant turbulence, which could be the beginning of a global conflict, because this is spreading very, very fast, Maria.
Very fast, and this goes back to bad policy. It feels like our adversaries began to get on the march after that botched withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Absolutely. That was a signal to Vladimir Putin that the United States policy was in collapse. You know, we have seen that not only with Russia, but also in Saudi Arabia, in Brazil, across the world. I haven't seen such a rapid failure of American policy and collapse of our standing in the world. And that is what is leading to one crisis after another. And the Biden administration needs to understand it needs to change policy. We had 4 years of peace with China, with Russia, with everybody else. And that was because we had a president who in April 2017, when Xi Jinping was next to him in Mar-a-Lago, announced that we were bombing a Chinese proxy.
Right.
That was Syria.
Yep.
That gave us
That sure
peace.
was.
Now we have the opposite of peace.
Yeah. And you're talking about a breakdown in the United States' influence at a time that you're seeing China rising and continuing to show dominance across the world, even in this conflict here between Israel and the world against Hamas. You're seeing China call for a two-state solution.
Yes, and this is occurring at a time when China has internal problems which are almost unprecedented, ones we haven't seen in a decade, purges in the Chinese military, and yet China is exercising influence because of the strength of one individual, Xi Jinping. And the United States, which is still the strongest nation in the world, appears to be one of the weakest because of the failure of someone sitting in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that Hamas and the Iranians looked at the leadership in America and thought, well, now is the time to strike Israel?
Absolutely. And they're not the only ones who are thinking that. And we've got to be prepared that this conflict will spread elsewhere around the world. This looks like the beginning of World War III.
Oh, my goodness. Gordon, thank you. We're going to be watching all of this. And we
yet? Yeah, we back. All right. So again, as you heard the words of Gordon Chang, they talk about how there's a massive signal of aggression. They talked about back in about with the balloon, right? Remember the balloon situation? Talking about the surveillance of how there was surveillance in the ships and the planes by China. He said that you heard him say that China has no interest with sharing the planet with the United States. Now, you know that BRICS just convened, right? I think in August of this year, right? And you got a lot of nations are now starting to get inside the BRICS, right? What's that? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right? And then I think there's other nations that are also lining up. When you look at that map of what it is, if you go look at the map of all those that are joining BRICS, you'll see that they're surrounded, the Levant is surrounded by them. And so I'm not quite sure who the Palestinians is, right? If they're going to be part of BRICS, and so it's only going to be Israel right there. So it's like, okay, you're aligned with somebody who they, again, according to Gordon Chang, say they don't want them to have no part in the world. They're going to, cut them out. So, so we have to say, okay, the language that he's using and the He using the words this direct, right? He even says, suggesting that legislation should be where the senators need to be together there to convene to get legislation ready. And again, in preparation. Said things are moving fast. And again, that don't mean we're taking everything because they said it to put fear and all that. No. This is somebody who's speaking who you think probably would know, right? Well, again, we understand paid pundits, spin job, right? Or could be what it is. But we got to have watchers on the wall, especially those of us in the black. There are really people who do this. So it's a rarity that you see in that somebody over here who are doing it. That, I mean, we do have brothers like Tim Black, and we have some other brothers that actually do this. I mean, some people even may say Roland Martin to some degree, right? But, you know, you have some of the people that does this, they do this, but we don't have enough that's really watching because, again, the world is changing. We here in the United States, those who've been for many generations, it's starting to feel a little strange. You know what I'm saying? The flavor is changing. So something is happening geopolitically, globally, that's going to affect, and especially many of us who are, you know, those of the downtrodden of our group. Now, other groups, you know, everybody got their positions and got certain things, but we have been here going through the muck and mire all this time. And while I'm there, let me, just in case somebody, if anybody in here, you know, if you would like to, we always in need of help over here. So if you always want to do that, if you want to hit that like, share, comment, do that as well. That's if you want to participate, we always welcome that. So also, let me go into some other stuff I got here. So you see him talking about that. And then he says that you heard him say that they have been planning this for years to go to war with us. Did not him say that that somebody is actually, when they say killing Americans, he said fentanyl, 70, 75,000. Actually, that they said it came from the CDC. Now, let me show you something about that. A lot of stuff just came out this month. Maybe y'all didn't know that. But, you know, that's what we do over here. We report, right? Let me show you something here. Because, let me show you. I think I got it here. Hold on. Let's see which one that is. Yeah, here you go. Let's see. Right? So let me show you this. Right? I don't know if y'all knew about this or not, but they just recently caught, let me hold on, let me get this right. Where the Justice Department had charges against the Sinaloa cartel and its global operations, right? And they're tying them in with, they saying there are, let's say, Chinese companies that are selling the precursor that creates the fentanyl that they selling right here in good old US of A. Right? Right? That's what they talking about in that, right? As you heard him say, the fentanyl, he said, remember they said that Biden's supposed to be going to, Jinping is supposed to be going to San Francisco for a meeting. And like Biden, like, well, he ain't know nothing about it. On his schedule, he ain't supposed to be talking to him, right? And so he's saying, well, shit, if it would be me, he said, as long as the fact that you killing Americans with fentanyl, you showing, he says, solidarity, that U.S. is showing solidarity with with Israel. And then if China is back behind the, let's say, with Iran and Hamas, then look how that is. That's one on each side, right? So you can see why he's saying what he's saying, because it's like, yeah, okay, if you partnering up with them and you partner with this cat here, so if y'all don't get the two state together and whatever keep, fomenting that is happening based by, again, Palestine being in the middle, and whether Hamas is Palestinian, Iranian, Iranian, whatever it might be, and using you. And I think Leonard DeYuta said something very interesting, right? Somebody playing both sides, playing both sides is always possible. but you know, all that stuff will only be coming out later on as time go on. But my thing is, how does that play for here? Because let me show y'all something. Now, with this here is they charge them Sinaloa. That's the ones that the children of El Chapo in them. And you come to find out, guess who funding that? Damn, boy, them, huh? You know who funding them? Who they tying their money to? Same one they say they tying their money to over in the Levant. And so we got an issue right now with some things coming in now, don't we? We got a flood coming in now, don't we? Matter of fact, it was such a problem. Remember last show I showed you this?
Consent to address the
Remember
House for up to
Green
1 minute
said?
to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, since 9/11, over 13.5 million border encounters have occurred at our border. Over 1 million Americans have died from drug overdoses, and CNN reports that the cartels take in $19 to $29 billion annually from drug sales to the United States of America. Since 9/11, the United States has spent $8 trillion on foreign wars, and over 7,000 U.S. service members have died defending foreign lands and foreign borders. And now we have sent over $50 billion to Ukraine, and President Biden wants another $37 billion to Ukraine. This will be pushing it to over $90 billion. Yesterday, Democrats voted no on my House resolution to audit Ukraine, and the American people deserve transparency and oversight on where their money is going. I also want to point out that America deserves our borders to be defended. So if we're going to support any war, we should support a war on the cartels that are killing Americans and invading our country. Consent to address the House for up to 1 minute.
Hey, that was Marjorie Greene, right? She said it in 2002, but she came back and re-updated that maybe a week or so ago, right? So there's an issue somewhere with that. And then recently we seen that Biden now is talking about going to the wall, right? Saying that there's some funding now that they want to put to the wall, but okay, right? We know it's election time. We understand that, right? But how does that tie in? Now you gotta remember, okay, now I just showed you, as you see on your screen, they caught the organization that's making the precursor tied into those who coming from the cartels. And then Gordon Chang says, who funding? Who's putting the money in it, right? Okay. Now, did y'all see? Now you remember when Chang was saying about who? Remember he said about the image in China that they were trying to do some negotiation with Chuck Schumer, right? And he said that Chuck Schumer went over there and they showing this picture of Chuck Schumer bowing. And they didn't like that because the bow is showing a kind of submission. I think Chang said supine. He said supine. I think he said supine, right? Right? Supine, which is just really failing to act or protest as a result of a moral weakness. That's what supine is. Failing to act or protest as a result of a moral weakness. So it was morally weak to be you as a Secretary of State going before and prostrating yourself, show the sign of weakness. Now, see, there's some people, when we talk about black folks, Indians and Taxes, Indigenous, Needy Moors, they think that the image of us is something that is just something local. See how they worried about their image globally, that how you appear. So when we have our people, let's say, for instance, the way, if we look at, let's say, how they use us in the image in movies, how they do us in music. So What is our image globally? A lot of people say we got a lot of influence and power, and a lot of people, but there's also a big negative side to that as well, right? That's what a lot of people who come on to be trying to be disrespectful to us, and a lot of us is in here fighting people because they hold positions against us that ain't positive, or some caricature, or some kind of what they call those things, stereotypes that be betrayed on us. So you can see in that situation, they was like, nah, man, you can't do that. That reflects on all of us. See, that's something we need to look at and realize as a group. Our image means a lot, how people the overview of looking at us and how they, see, with social media, we're able to have these kind of conversations to some degree. And some of these things are some of the things you probably taught from a knee-high to a grasshopper, right? Growing up, developing, but sometimes situations where, mama, daddy ain't there, streets is raising you, you're under the street code, or you're on your own going through the system. And so you got to go ass backwards until finally you get to a place to start, what the fuck is this shit about? Then you start learning the game. So we have a lot of that amongst our people. And so when we talk about this part here is kind of like foreign to us. We don't understand our image and how what we do to one another and all that. We don't see it that way. When we should have, because we don't play the game, we live in a fishbowl world when it's really an ocean out here. You get what I'm saying? See, we play fishbowl when it's really an ocean. And so you can see, look at on this grand political chessboard that somebody in power prostrating themselves is damning to them. So how much damning have we done unbeknownst? Because again, ignorance is bliss, right? Like in the Matrix, ignorance is bliss. And just like in the intro there, you know how much damage one ignorant Negro can do? But what happens when you get a nation of them? So that means people can play upon you based on an image they can do, as Leonard to you to say, propaganda. See, we got to have those conversations. And, when you got the young ones around you, you got to tell them the game. We can't let people just be running out here and not understanding there's a big world out here. And the way that the world is working now, the coming generations, the ones that's even kind of here now, what is that future looking like, right? So let me show y'all something as we're moving on, right? So look at that, prostrating yourself. That image reflects upon, and they didn't like it. Now, he's half Chinese and half white, but he comes across as a white man, and he's standing with the United States. So talking about China, ain't that something? Right? Okay, because that's the kind of nation we got, right? A multicultural nation where maybe a lot of people who coming from other places, we don't know the true story. When they say asylum seeking, we don't really know what that's really about. We just know the process of what we hear, but a lot of us ain't studied. I've been studying it for a while. And matter of fact, to show y'all something, you see the same cat you seen on your screen prostrating there? Listen to what he said about the immigration just not too long ago. Listen to this real quick.
However, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here. However, we're short of work.
Same cat that was this cat, right? Remember this cat? That's him. That's him right there, right? That's him, okay? You heard what he just said, right? They want to make a pathway so they can become citizens, right? He said, 11 million undocumented. They've been saying that 11 million for years. Remember, I've been doing this for 12 years. I've been doing the news for 12 years. And I'm telling you, that number been for a long time. So I don't know how many when it comes to that. Matter of fact, it's not even undocumented anymore. It's called essential workers. Let me say that one more again. When they say undocumented, they don't say that word no more. They call it essential. So remember when we was going through the liquid blanket 19, for those who don't know what liquid blanket 19 is, that's what we was going through 2020, right? When everything shut down. You know, in the history, the story talks about the blankets they gave us. So I just say the liquid blanket, right? A lot of us done lost some people over that liquid blanket. And so with that being said, let's look at this. He is going to make ways so that the people who are coming have a pathway. Now, let me show you something. Did y'all know that DACA, just again, a lot of stuff came out this month. A lot of stuff came out this month that you may not even know. Federal judge again declares that DACA is illegal with issues likely to be decided by the Supreme Court. Okay? Now, federal judge declared illegal a revised vision or version of the federal policy that prevents to deportation of hundreds of thousands of immigrants brought to the United States as children. Now, keep that aware. They're making DACA, you think DACA means children, okay? You think that DACA means children. They declined to order an immediate end to the program, and the protection is offered to recipients, okay? So they declared it illegal. Now, this is Texas. Now, you be hearing people talk, and they tell you about, you know, the buses and coming from Texas and Florida and places like that. It's because they don't know the backdrop of none of this stuff here. Again, WeUpReport. I ain't gonna tell you what I heard. I'm gonna tell you what I know to the part that the stuff that I done researched and did my due diligence on. So you can take what I tell you, and you'll be accurate. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be accurate, but it's still more to know. But you're gonna be accurate, right? Now that doesn't mean that I can't get some information that might be misprinted or something like that. It's possible, but again, I ain't gonna tell you what I heard. I'm gonna tell you what I know. But anyway, now again, a federal judge in Texas, because why? Texas and several other states filed against the DACA, saying that it was putting an economic strain on their state. So Texas have gone and fought, and the courts have decided that it's illegal. Now, how they end up from Texas and going to places like New York and Chicago, this is why. So they done already declared, they got the city, they just delaying it. Matter of fact, they're allowing it to go where? To the Supreme Court. So that's the process, right? So the United States District Judge, his name was Andrew Hannon, he agreed with Texas and 8 other states. Again, they were suing, which DACA is Stop the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which is a program, okay? So this ruling was ultimately expected to be appealed by the Supreme Court. The program fate is going to be set before, and I think they got the date to end by August 2024, okay? 2024 will be around about that time, hopefully still going strong and doing what we're doing. We're going to be updated. We're going to hold that on again. We're not anti-immigrant, none of that. No. But we understand what's happening here. But I want to show you what's tied in this. I want to show you something, right? So there was a 40-page ruling about this DACA. They talk about the deficiencies and the legislators and the executive judicial branch of Congress. That's for them to decide, okay? The Congress got to do this. So you might find out that there's I think it's called the DREAM Act, is what they want to pass. And with that DREAM Act, going to open up something. But to give you a little bit more insight on this DACA, I want you to hear this from this story they broke with here on the day that this came out, and come right back. Listen to this.
For the second time in a matter of months, a federal judge has ruled that DACA, a program that allowed undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children to remain in the U.S. as unconstitutional.
KPRC2's Devin Clark live tonight outside of the federal courthouse with what this means for more than 500,000 recipients and those hoping to apply still. Devin?
Daniela, Keith, as you could imagine, that ruling handed down here at federal court today right behind me, considered by those living in the U.S. under DACA status to be a major blow. But today we spoke to one immigrant-led civil rights organization where members say they will not stop fighting.
For us, it once again brings up a lot of hardship, brings up a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety.
Cesar Espinosa is the executive director of FIEL, the largest immigrant-led civil rights organization in the country. Today, news that a federal judge has again ruled that the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, better known as DACA, is unlawful, is causing major concern.
The first time was under the original DACA docket, and the second time is under the newly revised or coded DACA case that the Biden administration coded last year.
Following the latest ruling, there are once again calls for swift action.
So what we need now is we need Congress to act immediately.
For now, the 580,000 DACA immigrants who are living in the U.S. can keep their protections, but the current ruling means that there can be no new applications.
It feels like a toxic relationship where we love this country, we love the culture, we love being here, but unfortunately, we don't feel the love back.
Espinosa himself is a DACA recipient who came from Mexico City at the age of 5 years old. He's lived in the U.S. for 33 years now. Like so many others, this is his home.
Many of us who are contributing to our communities, who are contributing to our economy on a day-to-day basis, who are now parents. We have children who are, U.S. citizens.
The case now goes to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and could be escalated all the way up to the Supreme Court, but no clear timeline on when that could happen. Reporting live outside of federal court downtown, Devin Clark, KPRC 2 News.
Devin.
Message from somebody up here. Let me see this message here. I got some freezing going on here, huh? I got some freezing going here. Whoops. Okay. All right. I see what you're saying there. Okay. We back right now. So you see the DACA rule illegal. Again, you heard that Cesar Espinosa, right? He's an advocate, got his own group, but himself is a DACA. Now, again, the DACA comes in 2012 under Barack Obama. And you heard the word revision. Now, what they're saying is the way that Barack Obama set it up, he kind of just like executive ordered it in the process that needed for it to manifest itself. There's a certain protocol that must go through. One has to be noticed to the public where we can suggest, or we may yay and nay it, right? And they didn't have that revision in it. So what happened is the Biden administration kind of come in and add it, and the court had to say that, well, you just basically gave the same thing that Obama did, and you're just going to just re-give it to us again. So they downplay, said, no, it's illegal, right? So they say that it's 600,000. We don't know how many, because like you said, they had children. We don't know how many. Now, the thing about this cat here is I want you to hear him tell his own story. You heard him on that particular news story, but I called him somewhere else talking about it, and I want you to hear this, and then I'm gonna get in more to it. Now, remember, this is him. This was him in this story here, right? That was him. Let me show you. That was him, right? Cesar Espinosa, right? Then I called him on another program where he's gonna give you his background, and then I want you to hear that. And then we're going to move forward. And check this out. Listen to this.
Policy, or how a policy designed to shield thousands of immigrants from deportation has been declared illegal again. Deferred Action for Children Arrivals, also known as DACA, leaves thousands of students, families, doctors, and many more in limbo. Here to talk about what's next for Dreamers is FIEL's Executive Director, Cesar Espinosa. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So it's good to have you back here in studio because there's still lots of questions that people have. And for those who might not have ever dealt with immigration laws before, let's start off with, can you explain what Dreamers have to do in order to keep their DACA status?
So right now, if you were eligible for the DACA program in 2012, met many criteria, went through fingerprints, you can still keep your DACA under this new ruling. So basically what this means is that people who already have deferred action can continue to reapply or renew their DACA. Unfortunately, people who are petitioning for the first time or asking for DACA for the first time, many young people who were too young to ask for it before, unfortunately are out of the program.
Wow, I bet you're getting flooded with calls about that.
We have many calls. Immigration is a tough subject. There's a lot of rules. It's very complicated, and immigration laws change all the time. Rulings come out, so there's obviously a lot of confusion in our community. A lot of folks just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and so in the past couple of weeks, there's been a surge of migrants at the border. So we have also gotten the question about, will that surge of migrants also delay or affect the Dreamer status at all, or their renewal process?
Absolutely not. These are two separate issues. Dreamers are already folks, or DACA recipients are already folks who are in a different pipeline. They're actually in a different part of immigration called USCIS, not CBP or Border Patrol. So they're way.
You're saying there's a whole different process for them.
A whole different process. It's not even a court process. It's a procedural process, more paperwork than what's happening at the border.
Yeah, still immigration, though, it gets confusing for people. I think even DACA recipients themselves are making sure, like, okay, this doesn't affect my renewal, right?
There's still a lot of questions that people have. And questions come up every single day.
And so people who aren't afraid or aren't familiar with immigration laws, a lot of times we hear that question, well, why don't Dreamers just become citizens? Can you explain what the process and legal hurdles are like for Dreamers who are trying to face that path to citizenship?
Well, I'm glad this is a 6-hour segment so I can explain the difficulty. But in brief,
Now, as you heard him sit there and he explained again. Now, there's some information in there for a lot of people who you hear some people talk about the immigration again as Americans. A lot of again, this isn't anti against anybody who may not be, but what we're saying is those of us who have extensive generations who have no known relatives that has to do anything with immigration. The average of us wouldn't know anything to dealing when it comes to that immigration game. We have no knowledge of that, right? But because I've been doing this and been studying and reading a lot of that, I can give you a little bit more insight than others who might be doing this. Now, as you heard in that story, or you heard the interview there, DACA is different from that what you see they talk about at the border. That's at the patrol, and then they said here's about the program. But when you read that immigration game, you see there's all kind of different kind of visas, HB1s and work visas and school visas and medical. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right? So a lot of people coming in, and there's videos of showing people being housed, and I'm seeing places people showing videos. They get the scooter business going. If you had a scooter business, you make some money because that's what they doing. They buying a hell out of scooters, right? Oh, I got a message. Hold on, got a message here right quick. Hold on. Little Juice said, "Is there anti-black? Get them out of here." If they're anti-black, get them out of here. Okay. Now keep that thought now, because again, I'm going to show you something about this. I'm going to try to show you what this is really about. Remember what I showed you earlier, right? Remember all the stuff earlier. I'm going to show how this ties into that. Let me show you how this ties in. All right, so he laid out a little bit, they saying, okay, what we're going to do, legislation to this, our last hope is, we've been here, we got, we got children now. So people are in limbo. They say in the process of those who don't qualify cannot do no new applications. They say for DACA, right? That's for the DACA application. So then we have to ask ourselves, then recently, like last week, we heard that the temporary protected status was given. Remember when Biden blanketed? Remember I was talking about blanket? Remember? So he blanket. So remember, I'm telling you, it's undocumented. Man, I don't think I'd even finish that. Essential workers. Remember when we go through the liquid blanket 19 and they kept saying the essential workers? Really, that was code word for undocumented. So we were thinking they were talking about the people who work in the industries of hotels and essential workers, that the stuff they had to be dealing with people direct. No, that's code word for undocumented. Okay. So as you heard Chuck Schumer in that interview say that they're trying to get the legislation to pass so that even those who are undocumented, now think about that. People who are undocumented means they got in here without going through the process. But you're going to find a way to get them legalized. And yet there's a lot of turmoil, especially what happened with a lot of us who economically been hurt by what happened after the liquid blanket 19. A lot of us weren't able to go back to work because some of them was in put mandatory that you're going to have to take the liquid blanket to come back. So a lot of people was like, well, they're not going back. There's a lot of people who took that opportunity to say, they're going to make their own business, right? And say they weren't going back. And so there's a lot of people who at a certain age that's already out the loop and can't get back in even if they wanted to, right? Because, you know, a lot of these places don't want somebody who's a little bit more seasoned, know the game. You can't run game on mug like you do somebody who's new. And especially when you get somebody who came from somewhere else, they're going to Ola Salima all day long. Everybody know what that means? Ola Salima? Back in the day, I know Smith know I'm talking about them old cartoon. Ola Salima. They used to bow down. Ola Salima, right? That's what they want, right? So we're kind of seeing that. Now, what I want to show you is, listen to what he says. Now, remember, he in that first story, they said he a DACA, right? He's DACA. I want you to hear his story. It's not long. It's a little short story. But listen to what he's saying here. And remember, those who watched the show when I did with Viveki, remember him? And remember his platform that he's running for president, talking about he going to scoop up all, I guess you could say, essentials, technically, right? And he would deport not just them, their children, and even if their parents came here and they never got legalized, he said that, but then remember when his own story told on himself, when he found out his daddy didn't even do it, right? So listen to this cat real quick. I'll be right back. Check this out. Listen, again, this is that's Espinoza. He's going to tell you his background. Now listen to this. Listen to this.
Brief, I'll talk about my story. I came in here at the age of 5. I'm a college grad. I grew up here in Houston, and I've been here for 33 years. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a pathway yet for me to become a citizen. I want to be a citizen of this country. I love this country. I love Houston. I love our culture. I love our people. I love being here, my family. I have a son here, a wife, all of that stuff. Unfortunately, immigration law, because of the way it's written and because it's so outdated, I haven't been able to process my paperwork yet, and I've been here for 33 years. So,
you're just saying that's how slow the process is?
That's how slow the process. I do have U.S. citizen family members. If they were to petition for me, it would take 20 plus years for them to even get to my application. So in theory, I could get status by the age of 60, 65. I'm 38 years old now. So, there's not a lot of time, and it is a very, very slow and complicated process.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that question before, though. People want to know, well, why don't they just do this? Yeah.
Absolutely. But like I said, I was brought here at the age of 5, and, I came in legally on a visa, et cetera, et cetera. There's been a lot of things that I thought I did right. Unfortunately, the system hasn't allowed me to become a U.S. citizen or illegal permanent resident yet.
Yeah. And so the future for DACA is a little bit unknown right now. There's a lot of fear about the unknown. What are some of the common questions that you're getting? What would you like to address?
The most common question that we get is what's going to happen. And nobody knows yet. We go to the Fifth Circuit, and then eventually we're going to make it back to the Supreme Court, and then we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, if this program gets taken away, you're taking away doctors, teachers, paramedics, firefighters, police officers from our street. I mean, these are people who are working every single day to make our city better, to make our city safe. And if that happens, and if the program does get through, or it is declared legal or constitutional, And at the end of the day, these folks are still going to be left in 2-year intervals, and there is no pathway to citizenship for us. So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. We need Congress to act. We need everybody to come together and figure out this broken immigration system.
I know we've had you on here before, so I know this is a repeat question, but for anybody who's just now listening, about how many people in Houston does this impact?
This impacts about 34,000 people in the greater Houston area. And around the country, it's 580,000 people. 200,000 of us have U.S. citizen children. So this could have a major impact to our society, to our economy, you name it.
To your families, yeah. Does FIEL offer legal guidance for people?
We do on a variety of issues. Folks can contact us. They can contact us with questions. They can follow us on social media at FIEL Houston, all of that stuff to get their questions answered, because we know young people, especially nowadays, do not like to call, so they can always DM us or send us a message. Yes, absolutely.
All right. And if you head to clicktohouston.com and search DACA, you will find a breakdown of the effects and the new DACA ruling, other interviews that we've done with you. So thank you so much for taking your time to come in this morning and explain all.
In brief,
He's obviously didn't. Okay. Now, well, that's okay. So you say he should have married a Chicana. I think he needed to marry somebody who was already a citizen, right? But that's the issue they having. Now, if you heard his story, he was brought here at 5 years old. Then you heard him kind of say, well, I did everything legal. No. See, that's the thing that Donald Trump was kind of talking about, that some of us agree with. Again, we're not anti and heartless to people in situations, but we're just saying, you have people who come here, whose parents came here, then they end up being born here or came here as children. And then they're kind of stuck in a limbo because technically there's no way for them really to be able to become a citizen, right? According to the game and the rules that is played. And so he said 33 years, he's been living here. He's got family raised up, and he can't get it because of the way the game is structured. So that's why they say they want to come up with the DREAM Act, right? And that DREAM Act, they say for DACA, but they also are mentioning undocumented. They want to blanket that. So remember, go back to what Chuck Schumer said, that they want to pass the legislation that would cover not just the DACA, but remember he said the 11 million or whatever number that was. Remember he said that? So that would give all of them, right, to get covered and become citizens. Now, we Black American, Indigenous, Moors, Aboriginals, all, that don't rub good with us, right? See, we're not, see, some people say we blame it. No. We're not blaming anybody. We just say it don't rub us right. Especially when you've been here, you've been fighting a long time. And we understand his sentiment that he's trying to sell is, well, you're going to take away doctors, lawyers, firemen. Yeah. You remember back at Living Colors? Hey, man, there was a job. Hey, man, there's a fire job over there. Hey, man, you understand? That was going to happen. Hey, man, go happen. Right? But, right? You're going to get the, hey, man, a job is open. So, but look at what people are doing to go all out. So you may think, well, yeah, maybe they're trying to do that for them. And it does look that way, right? But let me show you. Let me show y'all something. I'm gonna put a bow on this one because you ain't gonna see it coming. I'm rope-a-doping you right now. Now, he said, now there's a technical thing in here. There's a technical aspect that they're using when they're here. And that's what the whole blanketing of the TPS was about. TPS, which was that temporary protective status, is going to get them in what they call this. Look on your screen. On your screen there, right? Lawfully present, that's the term. Lawfully present. So you can get that, if you can get labeled that, you're kind of in the process. You're not technically undocumented. You technically can get benefits and everything based on it because you're in the process to be, which makes you technically, the technicalities and things, right? The hole in it, right? Okay, so give me a minute. Hold on, I got a message here, right? You laughing, okay. So, right? So, yeah, the technicality in that. And so, when they talk about this technicality, what they're saying is lawfully present immigrants are eligible what they call the marketplace coverage. Marketplace coverage. Again, didn't y'all remember last show I did where they showed you in New York and they said that the hospitals are being filled up? Well, with this lawfully present status, they ain't go in there and get them some medical. You got a toothache and ain't got no coverage. You're gonna have to got to do some old school, you know what I'm saying? Tie your shit with a rope behind a car, let a nigga yank the shit out. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because you ain't gonna go in there because they ain't gonna take you unless you come in the ambulance. And that's $500 to $1,000, $1,500. You know what I'm saying? But these mugs, no, they getting patched up real nice under that. So there's a lot of benefits. So we looking from our position. Now, again, I'm rope-a-doping y'all because I'm drawing you in. Okay. We sitting from our position, we looking like, wait a minute. Why are you doing all this for them? Why are they doing all this? And, there's grumblings. Hey, they taking our spot. Okay, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. You put a bow on this because you ain't going to see it coming. And remember, you've seen it over here. Now, they got some things in order. All this stuff coming out in October, y'all. I know y'all not seeing it because this is what I do. I'm the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Again, you want to donate. Anytime you got some time on a Sunday, and if I don't come on Sunday, look for me on Monday. We'll have some kind of report from what done happened over the week of my interpretation of things. So if this is your first time, welcome over here to WeUpReport. Matter of fact, help me to get, I think the new one is not even 1,000 now. Help me to get the 100 subscribers on the WeUpReport channel. Go over to WeUpReport, just like you see my logo, WeUpReport. Find over there a subscriber to help me to get, so YouTube supposed to be paying me. I ain't broke no rules. It's just that I did a video back in April 1st, 2014, talking about the extinction of the white race. Wasn't talking about killing nobody, but I said what was to come, which is the catastrophic of the depopulation, or the catastrophic of them not being able to reproduce. Matter of fact, go back earlier in this report here. Remember what Chuck Schumer said. He said there's people who can't have. Remember that? Go back. Wait. Let me play it one more again. Let me play that one more again. In case some of y'all was late, you missed Claire. Let me show you. I ain't gonna make up nothing. Watch what Chuck Schumer say. Listen to him real quick.
However, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great. However, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we.
You heard him, right? There's a population of people who are not producing. He showed the baby not producing. Well, everybody who talk about that, it originated right here, April 1st, 2014. And they said from that day forth, I would never get any more views after getting 300,000, because in the black corner, you can't get no 300,000 or no unless you got a couple 100,000 or so. But think about it. I ain't even 3,000 today. So how did I get 300,000 back then? That was viral. So when y'all start talking about, I guess the population of white folks, ta-da! That's where it was, the hidden one. right? But anyway, but that's not what we're just saying. But that's what he's talking about. Now, because of that, and that group being older, they got a lot of older people. A lot of them is coming on that retirement. The bigger part of their population is the older ones, right? So who gonna pay for them pensions when you done kept black people out from working? So you ain't gonna get no whole lot of money off black folks. So who else you gonna get the money from? Huh? Do it make sense? Do it make sense? If white folks is coming to a catastrophe when it comes to offsprings not being able to replicate themselves to maintain a number, and their group is a much older group, which a lot of them is coming into, again, them baby boomers. Remember, the baby boomers are big baby. There was a lot of them, and they coming of age of retirement. Who gonna pay for them pensions? Who gonna pay for them pensions? So that's what it is, right? So now you say, okay, that makes some sense. So you got to bring people in here so they can get that tax off. Remember in the beginning, in the intro, it gets 7 years. You're gonna pay taxes, right? All that stuff. Keep your assets. They're gonna keep them in here. But that's only one aspect of it. That's not all of it. That's one aspect of it, right? Now, let me show you something. You see this legislation they put together. This is what they're gonna try. They're trying to find a way to give them this pathway. Let me show what they put together, y'all. Look on your screen there, right? Padilla introduces legislation to broaden lawful pathway to citizenship. Let me say that one more again. Padilla. Padilla, you're gonna find out who Padilla is. You seen Padilla, you just didn't know who he was. You didn't even know who Padilla was when you seen it. You didn't see it, but he was there. Padilla. Okay, hold on one second. Let me put this up there. Oh, yeah. No, he over there. So they put together legislation, and then this legislation, right? Hold on one second, y'all. In this legislation, they're gonna make it so that they all gonna get blanketed in to give them a pathway that makes all of them to be a part of it. Now, you know who Padilla was, y'all? Let me show y'all Padilla. Let me show you Padilla. Did you see? Remember Chuck Schumer? Did you see the cat that was standing next to him? Let me show you. See Padilla? See that dude to the right there? That's Padilla. That's Padilla. Right there. That's him. That's right there. That's him. Now look at his background. I want y'all to see this pattern here, y'all. I want you to see the pattern. See that? See that? Now keep that in mind. See the dude to the right of him? That's Padilla. You don't believe me? Let me show you. Look on the screen there. Now, who you see there, right? Alex Padilla, right? Alejandro Alex Padilla, born March 22nd, 1973, American politician, serving as a senator, United States Senator from California, right? That's his, that's his credentials as a politician, right? Now listen what it says on the second paragraph. Padilla is one of 3 children of Santo and Lupe Padilla, both of whom, where? Immigrated from where? Before meeting and marrying in Los Angeles, where he was born. Who's seen the show that I showed y'all last time, that who won Alderman in Chicago? Y'all peeping the Smitties yet? Is y'all peeping Smitties? Y'all peeping the Smitties? Okay. Peeping the Smitties, right? So they're trying to find a pathway. And so they said, okay, if we can get the DREAM Act, that means that people can, if they get their GED, they talk about if they can get their GED, if they working, and then they can go into the military. I thought they was already going in the military. Well, technically they say no, they're not really going to the military. And I be damned. You know what came up last week, y'all? I told a lot of shit came out in August. You want to see something about that military? Listen to this.
It's been 50 years since the United States stopped drafting citizens into military service, turning instead to an all-volunteer force. But today, there are problems recruiting the next generation. Here's CBS News national security correspondent David Martin.
Not everybody gets to meet the boss their first day on the job.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
But these brand new members of the armed forces got to meet Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin as he marked a major milestone.
But 50 years ago this week, the United States stopped drafting citizens into service and turned instead to an all-volunteer force.
It was created at the end of the Vietnam War to replace the widely unpopular draft. But former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper says the all-volunteer force is showing its age.
The all-volunteer force is on a long, slow decline due to a number of demographic and cultural trends that need to be arrested, or else we will find ourselves in a tough situation years down the road.
According to Pentagon statistics, only 1 in 4 young Americans meets the mental and physical requirements to join.
Lower your heels down to the ground.
Making it increasingly difficult for the military to find enough volunteers to fill the ranks.
Ready, stretch.
The Army has started a prep camp for those who want to join but can't meet the standards. But Corey Shockey of the American Enterprise Institute says there needs to be a more basic change.
The standards that we set for admission to the military have become increasingly onerous.
These recruits are going through prep camp because they failed when measured against the Army's height-to-weight chart, a standard that hasn't changed in 30 years.
The kinds of jobs that the military increasingly needs talent for may require different standards, and that doesn't mean lowering standards, it just means different.
Defense Secretary Austin says today's all-volunteer force is the strongest military in human history. To keep it that way, he will have to welcome about 190,000 recruits into the military each year. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
It's been 50 years since the United States stopped drafting.
All right. So there you go, right? So 50 years ago is when they stopped what they call conscriptions. Which conscriptions is meaning they was doing the draft. The last draft when they did for the, with the Vietnam and so forth. And then when 1973, January 27, 1973 came, they said, well, now it's all volunteer. But 50 years done passed, the times done change. And wait a minute, Michael Chang, remember what what Gordon Chang was talking about? Were they talking about they open the levant? You getting it now? Y'all getting it now? What do you say? We need about 190,000 a year. Oh, he's saying, matter of fact, they got the GED part of military now, right? Because y'all too damn short, and some of y'all too damn fat. Let me say that one more again. They got now the GED part of military. To they said that we're not gonna lower the standards, but it used to be a certain height and weight, but we're too fat and too short. But we're gonna find a way to use your ass. So we got the G section of military. So you're gonna get the GE side now. We're gonna get in the GED side, right? And because remember, Espinosa said 33 years he been here, based on being DACA, he need to find a way to make himself a legal permanent resident. Well. I think they found a way to do it. I think they got a way to do it, yo. I think they figured out a way. And we got something on the horizon. Oh, do it make sense now? Do it make sense? Well, that cat you see on your screen there, you see that brother on that screen there? His name is Lloyd Austin. They're going to have a brother. The brother going to be in charge of that, right? You know who Lloyd Austin is? Lloyd Austin right now is fourth in command of this country. Did y'all know that? There's Kamala Harris. Then there's Patty Murray. There's Anthony Blinken. And remember, Anthony Blinken was with, Blinken was the Secretary of State that was back there over there when he was talking about with the Hamas. Janet Yellen, then Lloyd Austin. So, you'll see some movies where Morgan Freeman, when they said the president get knocked out, and they say, now you got to be knocked out too, and they had to bring the next one in line. Well, he like fourth in line. Lloyd Austin is fourth in line as the power in this country. And he's the one that get to do that, right? So anyway, but listen to that, how they're saying, right? They're saying, look, 50 years ago, conscription, the last time they had to do a draft was then. A conscription just means draft. You heard what that Gordon Chang was talking about. Senators need to go to get the legislation ready to do what? Remember I talk BRICS? Remember I talk about BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and all them that just convene together again. So economically, remember what Gordon Chang said? Oh, they trying to make it so that we ain't even part of none of the game. So when you do that, what's gonna happen? So as you heard in this report here, they need 190,000 a year to keep this thing going. So where do you think they finna get 190,000 from? I wonder where they gonna get them from, huh? Where they gonna get this 100,000, 190,000? And if they don't get the 190,000, well, they just had 50 years of not having the draft. Just ironically, 50 years ago. So they say, well, we've been volunteer for 50 years now. So, ain't that, huh? Again, you heard over here, y'all. Again, this ain't about doom and gloom. It's just putting, again, what's the name of the show? We Up Report. I try to keep you up what I'm up on, what I see out here, right? So it's possible, again. So that situation that's happening over there, well, may happen over here. Because you're going to need them, because if you ally with them and if they're getting into it with them, well, they told you they need people. They're going to change the standards somewhat. They got the G section, right? You see the bugs in there. What they say, 1 in 4? What they say, about one in 4 young American, mental and physical requirements, 1 in 4, because they say we had a fat obesity society, right? So 1 in 4 in mental, well, it's been the dumbing down of America. Everybody, common sense ain't as common no more. A lot of us, our attention span ain't too long. So the requirements, so we got to lower them so that we can get bodies. But I guess before, to grab, some eyes, I guess, you want to be a citizen, right? You want to be a resident here, right? Okay, we got a place for you. Now, with that also being said, because you got to remember, they also been talking about putting mugs in and allowing them to be police officers. Remember that? If they do conscriptions, and conscriptions is just basically, again, states being able to declare war and being able to draft the citizenry. I was looking and doing some research. I'm trying to say, well, damn, can they use them on their citizens? Can they use it? Well, they just went in 2 years ago, and it's called the Posse Comitatus Act, right? Posse Comitatus Act, which they went in there, revamped it, because they said, remember when Trump was after the George Floyd, he was going to use that provision. They had to change the provision because it was the Army and Air Force didn't cover everybody else, so Trump was going to use them, and that's why those mayors was like, no. So they had to go back and revamp it because they said we're going to use the military. Now it says if Congress pass it, they can. Just keep that for food for thought. That's all. Keep that for food for thought. Right? 50 years, right? Right? 50 years, right? Showing them, huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, look at that down there, huh? Ain't that something? So, yeah. They said the draft ended, right? That's what they said right there. They were talking about U.S. military draft ended in January 27, 1973. Been 50 years exactly. A little bit more fit for us, about 50 years, 9 months, almost 9 months, right? To the day.
Nasty, 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 nasty.
Okay? So, with that being said, right? We're at 2:30 mark. So if that be the case, know this then, right? So, I went on Atlantic voyage, right? They were showing the slave voyages. You see on your screen there? See on your screen there? Look at that real good, the screen there. You see them numbers and stuff on there on your screen, right? And there's the slave voyages, they say. Now, look at where it says USA. You see the years to your left, far as right, and USA, and look at the total number, 305,326. Okay? Right? That's a slave voyage. You go on there and you can see how many, they said slave voyages and how many came to the country. Remember they take 1619? What you see at 1619? What do you see? What do you see? So if that be the case, right? If that should be the case, if all that is what they showing there, if all that is to be true, they have to say, then who are you? Where did you come from? Was you already here? Was you? Because ironically, as I'm going to close out, I'm going to show you something that somebody had put. Let me show y'all something as we get ready to close out to this show. See that on your screen there? Y'all see it? That came from, let me see, do I got it here? Let's see. I don't have that, do I? Hold on 1 second on my end here. Hold on. Let y'all see that on y'all screen, right? See what that says? Mayor, right? And it's saying something there, right? I'm not sure if y'all can actually see that directly, but I'm going to hold 1 second on my end here. Should have been already up, but something happened over here. Sometimes some technical difficulties, right? Let me pull it up right quick, y'all. Because I want you to see the language that's said on here, right? I want you this language that's being said on here. I'm gonna read it to you. Hold on 1 second, because I think it's a little blurry for y'all to see. Just give me 1 second here on my end here. He's getting this prepared for me. It should have been already done, but we're a little bit behind, right? So there's a lot going on here, y'all. There's a lot. All right. Hold on. Come on. Where's that at? Hold on. We coming to it. Give 1 second, y'all. We're going to end out on this here. Again, I'm going to appreciate everybody who came, hit the like button. You can find it in your way to do it. Because again, what I do because I love doing this, and I just love, I like doing the news and telling the truth, right? From what I see from my research and what it tells me. And if you appreciate that, I appreciate you. Not Like I said, go over to my WeUpReport channel, subscribe, help me to get so they ain't cut me a check because they done got it where this channel will never go out. Maybe if I start all over again, they might do it. So hold on 1 second, y'all. I don't know where is. Hold on. Oh, I know to get to them. Hold on. Go over there. Pull it up from there. It should be in there. Yeah. Oh no, that's not it. That's not it. Shit. Hold on. Oh, yes it is. There it is. It's right there. Right there. Go back. Right there. Hold on. There you go. There we go. All right. Now let's go ahead. Let me read this to y'all real quick. Let me read this to y'all. Hold on. Now this is probably coming from the office of the mayor of Chicago. A proclamation. Now you heard proclamation before, right? Emancipation Proclamation. Just an announcement, right? Just an announcement, right? Whereas the Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, Hamathites, and Canaanites, who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa and later form themselves kingdoms extending from the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, the Atlantic islands, onto the present-day continental Americas. And whereas the indigenous Moorish people of the Americas are now united and under to again link themselves with the family of nations, and whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginals to the territories of North, Central, and South Americas, read that one more again, Mr. Blow Your Mind. Don't mind if I do. Whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginals to the territories of North, Central, South Americas, have formed a sovereign theocratic government guided by the command principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice through virtue of the universal right to self-determination, as well as with the declarations of rights of indigenous peoples guaranteed in the charter. Whereas on January 8th, 1886, Noble Drew Ali was born in the state of North Carolina. Looks like they can't say that, but a doctrine to become the first patriot of the nationality enslaved, I can't see that, that's not enslaved Moorish American peoples. In 1912, he was later appointed as El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali by the heads of Egypt and the holy city of Mecca to return to the United States as the last prophet, founding fathers of the newly then nation of Moorish Americans. As a result of the 13th Amendment, Moorish people were emancipated from slavery in 1865. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Now, that don't mean that all of us is Moors. But for something that he said in there, North, South, Central Americas, indigenous. Okay? That's what him said. Him said that. I didn't say that. That you see it on your screen. So again, they be over here fighting us, right? When they over here, you're over here fighting us like that. Oh, you're pretendians and all that stuff. Why don't you go argue with that? Go argue with that. That's what you do. You go argue with that. Right? That's what you do. Go argue with that. Some people are going to be mad about that. But, right? So, again, this is your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds. And this has been another We Up Report. I want to thank y'all for attending, coming, showing tonight. Again, hope you got that message that was in there about that whole thing. Tie it all the way back over there, over here. With that, right? So there's two ways that can happen. You're recruiting to prepare for something else, or maybe something else is being recruited for something else. Remember, those over there in the Levant are fighting for their land. What about this land? Whose land is this? Whose land is this? Huh? Whose land is this? Whose land is this? Thanks a lot, sir, Mr. Leonard DeYuta. Appreciate that. And again, I want to thank Leonard DeYuta, Mr. Spence. I don't think I can say, oh, you got a new handle, bruh? Did you change your handle up? Is that what happened? Or, you know what I'm saying? Did you change up? I got Space Orbison was in the house, and then, you know, Mr. Robertson over there, right? Appreciate y'all for coming through, stopping by. Oh, also Aboriginal Knowledge was in the house as well. I want to thank each and every one of y'all again. This is WeUpReport. This has been another WeUpReport, you know, production show. And again, I'm trying to get back to Sunday, but you know, people over here be slow about what they're supposed to be doing, and then I can do. So we have to do Monday, but we're gonna try to keep it to the regular schedule Monday or Sunday. And to the next show, y'all. Into the next show.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy. Remember, the enemy has only images.